Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 underrated rock songs of the 90s. For this list, we'll be ranking the most underappreciated rock jams of the decade. What were some of your favorites? Let us know in the comments. Now let's rock out. Number 10, Rock and Roll is Dead, Lenny Kravitz. Having a smash single can sometimes be both a blessing and a curse. Lenny Kravitz, for many, will always be defined by his hit, Are You Gonna Go My Way? But our first entry proved that Kravitz had plenty of creative energy left in the tank. Rock and Roll is Dead takes the 60s and 70s rock swagger that fueled Kravitz's music and roughs it up a bit, taking a bit of the polish off from Are You Gonna Go My Way and bringing it back to basic roots. You can't even sing or play an instrument, so you just remain. The arrangement is meat and potatoes, hinging on the repetition of that main riff. But what a killer main riff it is. Meanwhile, there's a short but sweet solo, and there you have it. A fantastically rockin' jam. Number 9, Stuck on You, Failure. The world of 90s alternative rock was more than just grunge. There was basically a world of interesting music that deviated from the formula of arena and glam rock that dominated charts throughout the 70s and 80s. Failure was one of those acts, a guitar-centric band that also possessed smart songwriting and impeccable production. Stuck on You, till the end of time. Stuck on You is one of those thick, heavy tracks that Failure did so well. A mid-paced affair that never plods, but rather grooves with the listener from that discordant opening hook. The monotone vocals seem to be intentionally droning, a psychedelic and spacey feeling that just adds to the song's unique atmosphere. Number 8, I'm Afraid of Americans, David Bowie. David Bowie was already a musical icon when he released I'm Afraid of Americans as a single back in 1997. There were multiple versions of the song featuring production and mixing assistance from the likes of Brian Eno, as well as members from Nine Inch Nails. I'm Afraid of Americans showcased a fresh and updated version of the Thin White Duke for a new generation, introducing industrial elements while simultaneously remaining Bowie to the core. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. This was due to the man's inimitable vocals, whose charms cut through modern production techniques and lend the song a vibe all its own. Number 7, Singing in My Sleep, Semisonic. Semisonic was another alternative rock band that showcased where the genre was heading near the tail end of the 90s. All alone on the overpass, wired and phone to a heart of glass. Gone was the aggressive riffing of Nirvana and Soundgarden, and in its place was a million-selling marketable juggernaut that was just as popular and widespread as the arena rock that came before. Semisonic certainly wasn't aggressive, but they did pack plenty of big hooks with their music, best evidenced with their smash hit Closing Time. Singing in My Sleep was another hit off their sophomore effort, Feeling Strangely Fine, and just as poppy with a happy melody that was the polar opposite of old school grunge angst. I can hear you sing it to me in my sleep. Number 6, Hero of the Day, Metallica. It's difficult for those who weren't there to describe the controversy that swirled around Metallica's Load album when it released back in 1996. They're off to find the hero of the day. Although today it's largely viewed as a different but unique point in their career with some hidden gems buried in its track list, For many metal fans, Load was largely labeled as a betrayal of their thrash roots. Hero of the Day was certainly one of those divisive songs, but we'd argue that the main melody is memorable. James Hetfield's vocals are strong, and the final heavy third is a triumphant slice of heavy rock thunder. Go back and give Load another shot. You'll be glad you did. Number 5. Angry Chair, Alice in Chains. We mentioned alternative rock's dark and dangerous side earlier in our list, and there were few bands that exemplified that mood better than Alice in Chains. The band's roots were in Sunset Strip glam metal, but their sound got darker and heavier with time, culminating in perhaps their most cohesive effort, Dirt, in 1992. Angry Chair was the penultimate track on an album full of killers, and it stands alongside gems like Damn That River, Them Bones, and Wood as a definitive grunge anthem. The song is basically doomy heavy metal in alternative clothing, thanks to Jerry Cantrell's aggressive riffing and the thick reverbed production. It's a stone-cold ripper to this day. Number 4. Only Happy When It Rains, Garbage. What do you get when you combine the musical talents of 3 producers with an ear for studio work and a firebrand vocalist named Shirley Manson? You get one of the most consistently engaging artists of the 90s, Garbage. Only Happy When It Rains was the perfect single to introduce Garbage to the masses, too. A gloomy but catchy bit of lightning in a bottle that benefited greatly from a decade-defining video. Seriously, from Manson's mini dress and boots combo to the garishly saturated colors, the clip for Only Happy When It Rains encapsulates what's going on in the mid-90s musically. Or rather, it presented how doggedly undefinable 90s rock was at its core. This was darkly melodic, hypnotic, and impossible to ignore. Number 3. Sex Type Thing, Stone Temple Pilots. It could have been considered a gamble to pick Sex Type Thing as the means for introducing Stone Temple Pilots to the masses back in 1993. After all, this song is capital D dark, thanks to lyrical themes which tower over the song with their disturbing intentions. Beyond this, however, Sex Type Thing is also relentless with its main hammerhead riff, a feeling of heaviness that's counterbalanced by Scott Weiland's insidious melodic vocals. Weiland goes all in delivering the song's controversial premise, while drummer Eric Kretz ensures Sex Type Thing never lets up for a minute. For our money, their choice was the right one, as STP never bettered this debut single. Number 2. Plowed, Sponge. Flashy guitar theatrics were not exactly part and parcel for many alternative rock bands in the 90s, but Sponge was a notable exception to this rule. This isn't to say that the Detroit-based band was pulling off 9-minute guitar solos or anything, but their song Plowed was a refreshingly dynamic single during an era of dreary, often boring guitar work. It hits right after the first chorus as the tempo picks up, the guitars harmonize, and the lead break sizzles between Vinnie Dombrowski's second verse. It may not sound like much, but Plow struck like lightning for those desperate for a little something extra when so many were exploring minimalism. Before we name our number 1 pick, Here are a few honorable mentions. Girlfriend, Matthew Sweet. Proof that Sweet wasn't just known for his contribution to Empire Records.
I hear you need somebody to love.
Start Choppin', Dinosaur Jr. Hardcore Heroes gone indie.
I'm telling you for one last time, it's not just you.
All I Want, Toad the Wet Sprocket. Sometimes all you need is a great melody.
All I want is to feel this way. The evening speaks, feel it say.
Out of Sight, Out of Mind. Wilco, a jam band rocker.
I know you probably hate me. That's okay with me. Alright.
Want more music content? WatchMojo produces an original podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. The show provides authentic interviews with artists from all around the world, while also staying true to WatchMojo's roots with top 10 music banter thrown into the mix. What's the best advice Alice Cooper's ever given you? Looking back at the staying power, does it shock you?
No, we have naked pictures of the right people.
If you want exclusive interviews with award-winning artists, producers, singers, songwriters, check out Innersleeve.
Number 1, Cigarettes and Alcohol, Oasis. Oasis was accused almost right from the jump of being a bit too indebted to their musical heroes, the Beatles. Cigarettes and Alcohol, however, was a track that looked backward for inspiration while still retaining a life all its own.
But all I found was cigarettes and alcohol.
The song was a bluesy jam that's eerily similar to the style of T-Rex and Chuck Berry, but with notable differences in execution.
You gotta make it happen. You gotta make it happen.
Liam Gallagher's vocals were anything but blues-influenced, instead opting for a deliciously snotty approach that wouldn't sound out of place on a Sex Pistols record. The decision works perfectly with Noel's noisy and loose guitar jamming and proves that sometimes it's better to thumb your nose at the critics and just play what you love.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.